It is. And
Yeah, but
you're
there's a lot of
absolutely-
forms
and you're, and hold on, you're not wrong. But there are different kinds of relationships, right?
Yeah.
And so, but a relationship is a relationship nonetheless.
But if you're just sleeping with each other, that's not a relationship.
No. It's how you view the relationship. It's the same thing about
I
your
have-
sexual identity.
I have
It's how
friends
you identify yourself.
who are in a relationship and they, not to use a political term, but have an open relationship that's very don't ask, don't tell.
Okay.
And then polyamorous relationships are very much open communication.
Open communication,
Like,
right.
I want you to know I'm going out with Jennifer tonight. There's a chance I won't be coming home.
Okay.
Whereas an
It's
open
that
relationship
constant
is just like,
checking in
I'm
all
gonna
the
go
time.
out tonight.
Yeah.
You need to do your thing.
Right.
It's a complete different. It's a different kind of
I
communication.
guess it's all what you discuss in your own relationship.
Yeah.
But
That's
Boundaries.
it's what you guys agree on.
So let's get there. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about sex. It's a vulnerable time, and there's no wrong answers. There's no right answers. This is all about discussion. And the role and the goal of this is for us to all leave with a broader idea of what sexuality is. So thank you all for
I'm in a
being a part
relationship
of
with
it.
vodka.
Well, hello. Yeah. And making love to
I
yourself.
hope you're very
Hello.
happy together.
All right, so moving right along, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about insecurities. We talked about communication and different types of relationships. What is the risk of being insecure in your relationship? Insecurities. What happens? Go ahead.
There's parts about myself that are managed, that I manage and that I take care of, but yet are something that is stigmatized and has the potential to affect other people's lives. But because of the fact that it's managed, doesn't. But I'll just take it out, put it on the table.
Let's do it.
I am living with HIV, and I've been living with HIV since 2015.
Got you.
Thriving.
Thank you for being honest.
Thriving. And so for me, like it's not necessarily something that hinders me, but it is absolutely something that with each person that I find interest in, I have to disclose that. I choose to disclose that. There are people who don't. But it is absolutely something that I am insecure about because some people, shockingly as gay men, aren't familiar with things like PrEP or pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is something that is also an HIV med, but you can take it as an HIV negative person to prevent, with high statistical margins, your ability to be infected.
And I can speak on that.
Well, take it away.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to take it from you, but I would say if somebody doesn't want to be with you because of your diagnosis, then they're not the right person for you.
Well, and I agree with that too, but it is a vulnerable moment where I myself am feeling interested or a desire to deepen a connection with someone, and I put that on the table, and through their own ignorance, through their own absorption of said stigma, I am eliminated. So for me, it is literally every time I feel, and it's not even always sexual that I'm leading from. It's not always a sexual place, but it is something that, if I'm gonna deepen my relationship with someone, I need them to know about this part of myself that I have to wake up every day and open a bottle of pills and say, this is what prevents me from, 1, dying, and 2, giving it to other people. Because, according to the government, I am a public health risk.
Well, let's talk about that.
When do you disclose it though? Like how early on?
Before we
Sooner
have
than
sex,
later?
that's for
Like
sure.
after? Well, I guess so. There's probably I would imagine 2 different scenarios. One where you're meeting them just because you want to fuck, and then 2 when possibly you want to date them. I'm guessing. For me, those are usually separate.
Yeah, I see you there in the separate. I have dating profiles, and they're not even dating profiles for us as gay men. It's literally pictures, and this is what I want. But I try not to meet too many people from there. Yes, I have needs, and I will fulfill them. And on those profiles, I have my status listed. It's in the profile text too. It's not just like, ooh, here's that little criterion. But if I'm meeting someone at the bar, for me, or like even a naturally unfolding organic encounter,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait maybe a couple times. I'm not just gonna be like, here's all my vulnerabilities and you are gonna take them all or nothing.
So you go on a couple dates and then you let them know.
Yeah.
So you don't have sex like right off the bat?
No.
Okay. So what happens when that does happen? Because there are people out there that have, and we'll just jump right into STDs or STIs, if you will, right off the bat. I mean, sexually transmitted infections are very normal.
Very normal.
I mean, I don't know anybody in my life that has not had one. I too am HIV positive, and it's when do you disclose this stuff, and do you have to disclose this stuff? And this is a very real question. Do you have to?
Oh, and the Maricopa County postcard.
Yeah, no, God, that card.
I think
But do you have to? Do you have to
So
disclose?
I've been disclosed too. I've been fortunate not to have any type of STD or anything like that. I don't know how none of that feels. But
wait.
No.
Never?
I'm scared, so like I try to be as protective as I can. But I've been disclosed too, so the way they don't even have it on their profile or something, and they'll say what is it? Non-detected,
Undetectable?
right?
Undetectable, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's because of my lack of education, where I've heard people that I know in like the community that I'm mutual or kind of have some kind of knowing of. I've heard that like, oh, they had intercourse with somebody that was undetected and that's how they got it. And I'm like, what? But
That's not true.
yeah, so I don't know. But then I had a guy tell me, oh, I'm undetected. Are you okay with that? And we were gonna hook up, and I'm like, oh, no, thank you. But I was being polite. I didn't want to be mean and be like, hell no. Like, no, it wasn't like, I didn't come from that perspective. I was just like, oh, no, thank you. Good luck. I'm gonna pass. And
So you bring up a very good point. Is that sometimes when people disclose that, hey, I'm HIV positive, right, but I'm undetectable, I'm taking care of myself, people will still say, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna have sex with you, even with a condom, right?
Can I speak on
But
that?
hold on one second. Absolutely. What also happens though is that people who say, no, I'm negative, and they're lying to
You're
you.
only gonna get infected.
And you would hook
from a
up with that
negative
person, right? So the risk is, and the problem out there is that people will say that I'm negative, and you'll hook up with those people. But when someone's being honest with you and says, I am HIV positive, but I'm undetectable, I'm taking my medication, those people you say no.
But
And so-
but the thing is, I'm not trying to be mean to them. When I say no, I politely decline.
And it's not about that. It's not about that.
Because I
What
don't
I'm-
want to feel like, oh,
Right.
like, I'm going to block you now.
Sure, and it's not about that. It's actually more on a you thing where it's like, would you have said yes if he said I'm negative? Because he could be lying.
Mental thing.
Go ahead.
I think it's a more mental thing.
What do you mean?
Like you just like you said, it's like they're negative but they're positive. Like you're just like, okay, well I trust you, kind of trust them. But if I think
What's the danger in that though?
It's a trust issue.
It's a
What's the
trusting
danger in
people.
that?
It's a trust
Do not trust people. It is your responsibility to take control of your stuff.
We can't hear in the back. What was the question?
You're saying it's a mental thing of like trusting people who say that they are negative, right? The risk to that is that people can lie to you.
And they do.
They lie to you all
I
the
was
time.
lied to.
I was lied to. I was lied to. They lie to you all the time. When someone tells you that they are HIV positive and they're undetectable, I guarantee you they are telling you the truth. They are telling you the truth. But nowadays, they might be switching. So it's very interesting in how we have sex with people who say that they're negative. We'll swear up and down that they're negative, but we'll tell somebody who's HIV positive and undetectable, no, I don't want to have sex with you.
Right.
We are putting ourselves at risk when we do that because the person who's saying they're negative probably doesn't know that they're positive, knows that they're positive and is lying to you to get what they want, and is completely deceiving you. So I'm so thankful that you're vulnerable in saying what you just said because you are the normal. That's what's happening out here, Calvin.
Well, I guess my question would be, and this is just more of a curiosity to the group and also the crowd, is for me, STDs was always a secondary, being the third
Babies.
oldest of 12 kids. Babies. Like, babies was like, it's like, dude, Dad, what the fuck is in your dick? Like, why are you missing kids? But, like, my brother has, like, a kid, like, my younger siblings, like, first times they had sex, it was like, oh, like, got the girlfriend pregnant. And so my scare, as I, like, built my own life outside of, like, the life that I came from, was not necessarily, because I've had girlfriends who've had like chlamydia and herpes, and we're actually very open about it, and they're like, hey, like I don't know if you're gonna like me anymore because I have this. And I actually liked them for who they were. I was willing to take that risk, because for me it's like it didn't seem like a risk. It's like, oh, this seems something that like as long as we're open and if we're gonna be in a relationship, this only becomes a risk if this does not last. Which obviously is something that like you get regularly tested, you go and get checked and you're like, am I infected or not?
Right.
But I guess it's just weird to me because like I have this mentality when it comes to like women I have sex with of like, hey, I like you, but I don't know if I'm ready to like start a family with you.
Right, that's huge.
And, like,
That's huge. That's huge.
Like, I would love to have sex with you, but if we get pregnant, like I'm very pro-choice, so it's like you get to do ultimately what is best for you in that situation, and I will hopefully man up and be the one.
But does
responsible.
it rhyme with schmishmortion?
Well, no.
So-
Yeah, but it's also like one of those things of like you can't with an infection, like obviously like you're like oh, match
So this is a topic that this is the topic that actually I wanted to talk about and like I wanted to take the lead on, and I want to really ask the audience. I want you guys to be vulnerable and really kind of just really be honest. How many of you guys that are single or whatever have unprotected sex? Like, how often is that happening? Are you having unprotected sex or are you using condoms? Raise your hand if you use condoms every single time. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty. That's huge. That's huge, okay? And what I'll tell you is that not a lot of people use condoms every single time. We don't. We do what is called bareback sex. I know for me, I hate condoms. I haven't used a condom in my life since I was 0. I don't think I've ever.
Need to.
Well, no, well, I should have. I should have. You know, I probably should have, but I don't. Exactly. That's how I got HIV, right? But the thing about it is that people don't. The point though is that people don't use condoms. They don't use condoms. And in a world where we don't use condoms, we are putting all of our trust in people who say that they are negative. And that is huge. That is huge. So the point then is whose responsibility is it to make sure that we are okay?
Can I speak on this?
It is yourself. It is yourself. And there are things out there. I'm sorry, this is my one platform I was speaking. There are things out there that you can do, that everyone can do to protect themselves. Women can protect themselves. Men can protect themselves. Gay men can protect themselves. Heterosexual people can protect themselves. And the reality is that like I don't know. HIV it's an interesting thing, man. I was diagnosed with HIV positive when I was 22. I'm 37 years old now in New York. So it was a much different ball game than when you were diagnosed. Much different, and it was a much different ball game when the other people were diagnosed before me.
Because
You know
they
what I mean?
died.
Because they died.
And no one knew why.
They died, and then I come here and people were on PrEP, right? And they're like, and the gays are just having sex like it's no tomorrow.
Like it's the 70s.
Like it's the fucking 70s, okay? And that's some real shit. That's some real shit. So I just, my one message, my one platform, I'm gonna take this one is do not trust anyone that says that they are negative. Don't trust anyone that says that they are positive and undetectable. Don't trust anybody. Trust yourself and what you are doing to take care of yourself.
Or on birth control.
Or on birth control. The same thing. The same thing. Get receipts for yourself, honey. For yourself. You show your own self the receipts because you can protect yourself. That's my platform. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you said a lot. I feel like HIV is getting a lot of. HIV definitely has a platform right now, which I think is amazing. I think that's obviously been a top. It's needed to be brought to the light for many years since the AIDS crisis. People, even nowadays, people say like, "Oh, if you have HIV, you have AIDS," which is the most ignorant thing you can say.
No one has AIDS, man.
Nobody has AIDS. Nobody gets
No one
AIDS.
has, yeah.
But I feel like a lot of, mostly straight women, I think if you hear HIV, you hear AIDS. I think in 2019, if somebody has HIV, it really is a non-issue. Well, like you said, I'm on PrEP currently, but there's also PEP, which is for post-exposure. If you feel or know that you have been exposed to HIV, you can actually take a medication afterwards. So if I have sex with somebody who has AIDS or has HIV, I can go on a medication and I will not get it. you can do that.
Ladies, it's like the
afterwards.
morning. It's like Plan B. It's like the morning
But
after.
for a month.
It's like the morning after, but it's for 28 days. You have to take 2 different pills. One is twice a day. One, and I've actually proud to say I've done it twice. I've done PEP twice. So one time I knowingly had sex with someone who had HIV, and I was super uneducated at the time and didn't necessarily know about undetectable and all that. So I went to the emergency room, and I'm currently paying $5,000 for that. And I got on PEP. And then another time they said they were clean, which, like you said, everybody likes to say they are, which I hate the term
Clean
clean.
is
I
an
hate
entirely
that term.
different. Yeah,
No,
clean
I know.
versus dirty.
I
Clean
hate
is
that term.
terrible.
Because that's what's ascribed to people who are living with
No,
HIV is that
and I
they're
hate
dirty,
that term because
undesirable.
it's like, are you dirty? Like, I don't think it
I
is,
shower.
but people, no, exactly. I agree with that 100%. But that's what they always like to say, and I don't know. I just had a bad feeling about it, and so I went and got on PEP then. But there's so many other risks. Like, I feel like in 2019, HIV is such a non-issue. There's so many
Right.
other.
It should
You
be.
belong to a demographic that doesn't necessarily have the highest exposure rate.
Well,
Even though you are gay, there is still an epidemic happening in New York and in the South
No, I mean,
for
like,
people of
like
color.
having
Yeah.
sex with somebody who has it, or being in a relationship with someone who has it, it should be a non-issue. There's medication you could take to keep you undetectable, and there's medication I could take to keep you from getting it. We would never ever get it, or I would never get it if I was in a relationship. But there's other STDs that are just as dangerous or more dangerous that people don't focus on. People talk about using condoms, which is great, but even when it comes to, like, for me personally, I'm perfectly fine with condoms. I also avoid, if I'm not really into you or don't think it's like a long-term thing, I'll stick with oral. But as I found out recently, there's other STDs that come with just doing oral.
All
So,
right, very good.
there's a, I mean, I don't know.
Should versus.
We got
what
a question
actually
in you
exists,
guys.
though, is-
And actually, what we're gonna do, guys, it's about 10 o'clock. We have covered a lot of stuff. It's 10. It's 10. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some time to ask some questions for the audience. Thank you so much, baby. I love you. Give it up for my husband right here who's recording everything. This is Wes. I love him. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some questions from the audience. It's a Q&A. You guys can ask anyone specifically or just ask a question. We're gonna take about 15 minutes to do this. And then we're gonna call it a wrap, guys. It's been a wonderful night. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't have a question per se, but I just wanted to touch on that really quick. And it's not just about HIV, but all of the other potential risks as well too. We actually have a really good friend of ours who died several years ago, and he was, but he also had several other things too, which contributed to that as well. Even somebody getting chlamydia and not taking care of it, that can cause a death, or syphilis, or syphilis is what I'm
Hep C is a big
Hep C. There's so many other things too. So, like you were saying, it's not just about one thing. HIV, although nobody wants to contract anything, and it is definitely a life-changing disease, but it's livable, right? All of these things, you just have to protect yourself.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, don't trust people. Just protect yourself. And yeah, exactly. Do something about it.
Thank you, Drea. Any more questions? Questions for the panel? Yes, hi. What's your name?
I'm Shanir, and I have a question for Mr. in the hat. What's your name again?
Calvin.
Calvin. You talked a lot about like your upbringing and how it just wasn't conducive with like everything that's happening in this room right now. Like, what set you apart, or how did you become different, or what was your path to like?
What was the catalyst, or like what was like the?
Exactly, like how are you able to be up here and like form your own ideas? Because like, it seems like you were in a place where that really wasn't a
So,
place where you can grow.
and I hear what you're saying. Like, I guess first off, I want to say is that like my parents were never the like conservative, like Westboro Baptist type of like hateful type of people. So I had that kind of going for me. Sorry, I choked on my drink earlier. I've been trying to.
It's okay. You can cry. It's okay. You can cry.
Actually,
I love you.
I don't know if Calvin and Taylor actually met my parents, before. Maybe not. No. But they were not hateful people, and so that I would say is something that was already in my corner. But if you ask for the catalyst was my friend, still to this day, Jared Holmes is his name. He is the 13th Vance, as we call him. He was just a wonderful, amazing human being. And for me and my older brother, who are very close, became great friends with this individual who, when you were raised in the church and were told these things of like, if you are gay, if you are this subtype of human, then you are less. And for us, we could not see in Jared anything less, if not more, than a better version of what it means to be a person. And so for me, that was the catalyst of like, if this, my friend, is this, then something is wrong in my thinking, or something is wrong in what I was taught, and kind of set me on a path of asking questions, exploring, and then continually then throughout the rest of my life, asking those same questions and looking for people that are either in the corner or also in an area that are less than. Because like nerds feel it, or people that are like grow later in life, me, like feel that pressure of being the outcast, and it's something that we all can grow together when we also have gone through suffering. And so, but I guess just to answer your question, it was one of my dearest friends who kind of opened my eyes that like, you can be a phenomenal human being, and you can also change what it was that you were brought up in. And just to say it's like, well, that's how I was raised, is a bad excuse to not re-examine how you think.
Good enough. Take two more questions, everyone. Two more. Any other questions? Two more. We got a question back here. Go ahead and say your name.
Hi, I'm Danny. So I don't know at this point what I identify as between specifically bisexual or pansexual. Specifically because I don't know how to differentiate between the two, in that I've seen like what you guys are talking about how what makes a straight man gay. So if someone is bisexual, would it be derogatory, I guess, for someone who says I only like men, I like women, to say you're a trans woman, I don't like you? How would you differentiate between the two, and would bisexual just technically be pansexual?
Yeah, well, bisexual just insinuates that there's two genders, male and female, and that you're attracted to either of those. So pansexual means you can be attracted, I forgot how to talk, attracted to any way someone defines their gender. So yeah, transgender, agender, gender fluid, whatever anyone wants to call themselves, you're open to attraction to all those. That doesn't mean you're, like, I'm not necessarily attracted to trans women, but I'm attracted to trans men, but I'm attracted to cis women and cis men. So it's a spectrum all of the genders that you can be attracted to.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And our final question, go ahead. What's your name?
My name is Eva, and I want to revisit a question that I believe Calvin asked earlier, which is, what is kink?
Oh, yeah.
What is kink? What is kink? What is kink? To wrap it up.
I want to take this one.
Do it.
BDSM?
My interpretation, kink is, it could be sexual acts. There's definitely kink that exists that's, say, fisting or flogging, things that are like gonna like give you sensations or like get you off. But then there's other things that, like, in my particular proclivities, the things that I like are being bound, being restricted, sort of giving up to someone else the power over my positioning or body state, what have you. And it's just anything other, like we would use, if kink is one end of the spectrum, then vanilla is the other. Vanilla is like intercourse, oral penetration, like the stuff that you would see in a conventional porn or what we call
Missionary.
sex. Yeah, like the stuff that either makes a baby or just gets you off, and then kink is going into a space that is sexual, yes, but definitely has keynotes of cerebral difference where you're either role playing, you're going into subspace. I like subspace, and it's just another flavor of the way that we can get together.
Anything else that you know?
It's all about the flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We got there. We talked about sex, baby. Hope you guys learned a lot. Once again, my name is Special K. YBS Pros, look us up. We're doing 6 panels, guys. We're doing 6 panels over the next 6 months. Each one of them is going to be touching very heavily stigmatized topics. This was all about sex. The next one's going to be called Gay Phoenix, No Blacks. It's going to be all about what it means to be black and gay in Phoenix. It's a really great discussion about their experience. So I would love for you guys to join and be all a part of that. Thank you so much for your questions. Let's give it for our panel. We got Calvin. Give it for Calvin. We got William. Miss Divine. We got Devin. Brandy. And Miss Tuesday. And once again, I am Special K. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Real Sex Phoenix was brought to you by the Projects Division of YBS Pros, recorded live at the Valley Bar in downtown Phoenix. For more information on this podcast, visit ybspros.com. Be sure to check out all we have to offer for your entertainment needs. And remember, YBS, go with the best.